Chapter 1. You are listening at FameTV.info. Akado. You idiot. Bullet. Give me the bullet. The voice with hoarse, full of Austrian regional accent. Akado found that his side is a machine gun position. 2 German soldiers are carrying Markham heavy machine guns, desperately to the front of fire. He did not care about anything else. He quickly turned over to look for ammunition. On the other side of his prone body, around an open ammunition box, there were several long ammunition chains scattered. In a hurry, he picked up a bullet chain, only crawled a few times and handed it to the assistant shooter in charge of installing ammunition in the trench. Then, without any breath, Akado quickly rolled to one side. As a matter of fact, squatting together with heavy machine gun positions is absolutely no different from seeking death. The primary target of those small caliber mortars opposite is these machine gun positions. Generally speaking, according to the experience summed up in the Second World War, it is best to move the heavy machine gun positions as soon as they are exposed for 30 seconds, God knows how long this machine gun position has been fighting. At this time, it's better to stay away. In case there is heavy fire on the opposite side and a shell falls down, whether it's a machine gun hand or not. Before Akado rolled away, the explosion started around. It was obvious that the grandsons on the opposite side began to fight back, using small caliber mortar shells instead of others. Grandson. Can't they be on time? I'm 10 meters away, and I can still eat it. Akado was a little crying. It seems that there is a certain gap between the weapons and technology of World War I and the World War II that we are familiar with. Indeed, the great powers have made progress bit by bit, and no one can become a fat man in one gulp. When the gunfire went away, Akado looked at the machine gun position where he had just been. There was still a tongue of fire, and the 2 accomplices were slaughtering the enemy unhurt. No. Are you kidding me? Akado from want to cry, a moment reduced to a laughing and crying. He quickly climbed backward for a few meters and retreated to the infantry trench. Presumably, the machine gun position had its own ammunition chain that he had just sent. He could still hold on for a few minutes. Akado had to consider his life's safety. Since ancient times, I have not woken up in the battlefield and found that I was lucky not to die after the war, or I have been able to develop science and technology for 3 or 5 years in Taiping years. How many of them are so unlucky that they were abused on the front line? Akado has a feeling of being discriminated against. He finally felt the feeling of being suspended through his boots. He knew that the trench was behind him, and he rolled down the trench as soon as he turned over. No matter the posture was not good, who looked up in the battlefield was the one who yelled with a pistol high up on CCTV, absolutely no one lived to the post-point 1949 era. Damn it, Akado! A dog fell into the trench. The trench in the First World War was not what Akado could imagine. There was nearly 30 centimeters of sewage in the trench, which was nearly 2 meters and 5 meters deep. This was a terrible fall for Akado. He fell so hard that he remembered that in order to resist the heavy artillery fire, the trenches of the First World War were usually dug nearly 3 meters deep, and some even 5 meters deep. Although he knew it, he didn't think of it at the critical moment. Akado, you fool! You're afraid of this before the enemy comes up. When Akado got up in a daze, trying to maintain his image, while looking for his rifle in a circle, he heard the greetings from his comrades in arms. Shells. Before Akado could find his speaking teammate, a shout started. A group of soldiers gathered around the crowd and quickly leaned towards the trench. Akado did not care to look for his rifle, so he rushed to the corner with his head in his arms like a street mouse and curled up all over. Don't. 2 dull sounds sounded not far away. The sound was like a shell that had not completely exploded. Akado was quiet in the corner for a few seconds. Although the time was short, it was of great importance because he thought a lot of words, yes, words. In the First World War, German defense operations, silent shells. Not too loud shells. Not dumb shells, because shells are not silent, but not too loud. What kind of shells are not too loud? Curled up, Akato looks at his equipment in his arms. There is a long bayonet, a shrunken kettle, a big cloth pocket for bits and pieces, and a bucket box for gas masks. It's really full. Wait a minute, gas masks, quiet shells. I'm Chow or something. Son of a bitch, did I in a hurry. He quickly opened the box and took out a new gas mask. After playing, he began to cover his face. With a gas mask on one side, Akato has vaguely smelled a strange smell similar to mustard. As if he had caught a cold, mucus began to gush out of his nose. After holding back his breath, Akato finally put on his gas mask. Looking out of the blurred lens, the world became distorted. A light-colored thick smoke enveloped all around him. The sound of crying, howling, vomiting and cursing came from all directions. Akato began to walk towards the ladder not far away that it's impossible to climb up a trench more than 2 meters high. Akato, who has just learned a lesson, will not be so too. Why not run? Take gas masks, especially those of poor quality. Why don't you try them? Breathing will get stuck and force you to take off your gas mask. That's suicide. As he walked, Akato took out a scarf from his pocket and wrapped it around his right hand. The back of his left hand, which was doing all this, was red and began to itch. Mustard poison gas is a kind of deadly poison gas that Akato knows. It's simple and overbearing. It's just a realistic version of killing you 3000. This kind of poison gas is very effective for the skin, eyes, respiratory tract, and is a destructive product. It's absolutely a necessary medicine for killing people, setting fire and killing people. By the time Akato got to the ladder, there were a group of unfortunate guys all over the ladder. Nowadays, poisonous gas is absolutely a new thing. Even if the officers repeatedly stress that poisonous gas is powerful, even if the departments at all levels have equipped everyone with gas masks, that is, the company commander and platoon leader have taught them how to wear gas masks hand in hand. Some people still don't wear them, there are still people who forget to take them, and there are still people who don't have time to take them. When Akato climbs the ladder, there are still people pulling his boots at his feet. Akato can even feel the palm of his hand slapping his feet, but he doesn't dare to stay, and he has no ability to save people. It's just bad luck for him to stay, and there's a glimmer of hope to escape from afar. As he climbed up the ladder and out of the trench, there is very little noise everywhere. It's very uncomfortable to take the gas mask. Some people can't hold it off after running for tens of meters, so they die faster because of faster metabolism, faster breathing and heart rate. In the not thick smoke, Akato felt a little pain in his left hand. It was probably that his left hand had begun to blister, but he still did not dare to run fast. He only dared to walk backward step by step. He didn't want to die. He didn't want to die in the cold here. Tears could not stop flowing down. He knew that it was because his eyes were stimulated. Fortunately, he wore a gas mask very neatly. His eyes were only stimulated and did not lose its function. Although the nasal cavity was as bad as a cold, it was not a big problem. Although he was not comfortable breathing, he could still maintain the oxygen needed by his body. The smoke is very thin. I think it's not far from the edge of the gas. Although his left hand was slightly painful and swollen, it was more sensitive. Akato felt the weak wind. At this moment, he almost cried. The wind direction was favorable. It seems that God doesn't intend to let Akato return to the west within 10 minutes after crossing. After walking dozens of steps, a gust of wind blows, and the light poison gas finally dissipates. There are living people on the ground. The screams are getting closer and closer, more and more, and more and more energetic. It's a good thing that you still have the strength to cry after countless people have died. What a happy thing it is, my eyes. Oh, my God. My eyes. I can't see. A young soldier covered his face and screamed. Akato just passed him, hold on to my shoulder and I'll get you out of this place. Akado kindly walked over and said vaguely through the gas mask. The soldier, as if holding on to a straw, lamented, "Thank you, thank you. One by one. I lead the way. I can see the way. Follow me." Left, right, left, Akado cried out with all his strength. Although the sound of wearing gas masks was not high, many people touched it and some helped to shout. The long line became more and more spectacular and became a scenery that no one could enjoy. What a good soldier you are. It's worth learning. It's the first time that you are so calm in the face of poisonous gas. The soldier behind Akado regained a trace of courage and said as he walked. Akado saw the rank of the man when he held him. He was a corporal. As he walked, Akado introduced himself. "Hello, sir, I'm a private soldier. It's Akado." "Akado. Rudolph, it's my pleasure to meet you." The young man behind him politely replied, "My name is Adolf Hitler." It's a corporal. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.